Oh my goodness. What is up, everybody? And welcome to the WNBA Pickup Podcast. I actually said that backwards. I clearly am
I'm making you nervous. I'm
I
intimidating.
know. The Pickup WNBA Podcast with me, your host, Freddie Rivas. For anyone who's listening already, which of course you are, and watching on YouTube, you're going to notice immediately that we got a bit of a shakeup here. So our beloved Catherine Niker is sick this week with the cold. Thankfully, it's nothing too serious. I do work at a hospital, and I know that a lot of gastro is going down. So it's a bit of a scary time, flu and virus wise, but she just got a cold, lost her voice a little bit. So let's all wish her well. She'll be back next week. A little bit of a note that we won't be doing our tempo podcast this week, so that will be back next week as well. And yeah, let me introduce our guest here. So good friend of mine. We know each other through comedy and basketball, which is most of my life, to be honest. But also through our love of the WNBA. And if you're at home, please give a roaring round of applause, even if nobody can hear you, for Dan Hershfield. Upping the Tempo is his new tempo blog. New, yeah, still new.
Still new.
And by the way, I also said blog, even though it's a column.
I mean, with blog-like tendencies, but
sure. But Dan, what's up? How you doing?
I'm good. Thanks for having me. I'm glad we're making this happen.
Yeah, we're making it happen. I feel like it's a long time in the making.
For sure. I mean, you're the. I feel like the reason. I mean, maybe we'll get into it a little more. The reason I started a column was because I felt like for the longest time you were the person I was always going to be talking to about everything WNBA, and I was like, oh, I'm going to drive Freddie nuts at some point. I need to have another outlet for these thoughts. So
if I've done anything of worth in this world, it's inspiring you to write a wonderful column. Yeah, I've been reading your column. I really enjoy it. It's like super thoughtful. It's funny. It's accessible. And you know, I recommend it highly to anyone. Like, obviously, if you're in Toronto and Canada, and you know, into women's basketball, are curious about the WNBA. But I would say, you know, in general, like as like a sports fan, as a fan of female sports, you would really enjoy this column. And it's I think there's a lot of similarities to what we do as far as like trying to speak to an audience. Like for the audience that's already in there, they're going to enjoy this for sure. For the audience that is curious and like doesn't have an access point, I think it's also really a wonderful like addition to the Toronto women's basketball landscape and the larger landscape.
I'm following in your footsteps. I wanted, I think fandom, there's a lot of space for this fandom to have more fun than it seemed to be having in a lot of ways. I don't know.
Yes.
I don't know if that's been your experience, same thing as mine, but it feels like there are a lot of earnest fans, which is great. I think, and you want that too, but it also, I wanted to play. I wanted to kick it, make it a little,
Yeah. I mean, that's me and Catherine's whole MO, right? We started separately podcasting because we wanted to bring something different to the kind of like the basketball conversation. Obviously starting with the NBA and then working our way towards the WNBA, but we wanted to do something different because there's a lot of earnestness. There's a lot of kind of just like plain, like, here's the news language. Journalism, I guess some people might call that. But and it's also just like not enough relaxation and humor. And then also like the far end of it is kind of like all entertainment and like radical Stephen A. Smith, like screaming at your uncle vibe. And like that, honestly, whatever. Both those things are well established and hold space, but I think there's room for other stuff too. Do you think you could give us a little walkthrough on the decision to start upping the tempo, and then actually the follow through, because I feel like a lot of people have ideas and they stop there. Like, so many of my ideas remain ideas, and rarely does it kind of turn into something where you decide that I'm going to take actionable steps to make it happen.
Yeah, I mean, I think, like I said, I just had thoughts I wanted to get out to some degree. That was a big part of it. I'm a writer. It's what I do. So it was a chance to write on these topics. And I think the tempo is getting, knock on wood, if the season happens, is getting so close. So the excitement was building. It spilled over. Yeah. And I think like that's was a bit of a factor too. Like it's still at a simmer. Like, I don't, the city's starting to get excited and there are events and like, it's getting, more excitement. And obviously that'll grow as we actually get, players and games.
Yes. Like like when we actually get a product.
Yeah. When there's something to look at. So I sort of partially, I mean, yeah, I started because I wanted to be up and running by the time that happened. I didn't, but also people were starting to ask, like they knew that I followed the WNBA and they had questions. And then, I was finding myself, not that I was put out, but, having to answer the same questions over and over. And I'm like, oh, well, if there's that level of interest, I could do a service and have some fun in the process. Yeah. Just sharing my thoughts. And and it has been fun. Yeah. Dealing with like, I'm trying to write at a level, or it's sort of evolved that way where it is, it can be your entry point, but also, if you know a little, or if you know as much as I do, you can at least either learn something or have something to debate.
Yeah. I mean, speaking of like the kind of like the really like aggressive sports talk, it certainly doesn't have that tone. You know what I mean? It's not like, I feel like that your takes are so well reasoned, and I immediately connected with the fact that you align with the W, from a progressive perspective.
Yeah.
And then also from like a basketball X's and O's perspective, like the basketball that's played in the W is really, really special. And NBA fans would be familiar with the term of like ethical basketball. And that's all the WNBA is, right? It's really, really ethical basketball. It's really like, no nonsense stuff. Like, this is like kind of technical, but like there's less and ones. It's there's a purity to the W that I feel like hardcore basketball fans would very much be attracted to, and will. And to your point about starting, like when you started this, that's us in the tempo, right? We always wanted to start our tempo podcast, but it just felt like we wanted to have something rolling and moving before we have players, before we have practices, before we have exhibition games and a season, right? We really wanted to kind of have the structure in place.
And like you said, like I think once people start watching it, like it's gonna blow up. People are gonna go crazy for it. And then so like if I can, I mean, if I can, be there, early, I get to ride the wave a little more. But also if I can help people, I'm excited. I want to get other people excited too. Like it is, like you said, it's it is a more ethical league. Like I love how activist the players are, and we're seeing it now. I mean, even the CBA negotiations. I love the style of play, and I don't know if it is that the players that it's more under the rim and that there's just a little more space, but it's just basketball I love to watch. And
can I ask about the way, like, so like as far as like the way in which you write, what inspires you with each column? Like have you looked around with like other like do other W franchises have similar columns? Is there anything that you've looked at as like a source of like, okay, that's like a template like that, I like this person's work? Or You know, like, do you have a go-to place to learn about the W that isn't, you know, I mean, obviously just watching counts, right?
Yeah.
But I mean, like, is there a place that you're like, oh, this is a source of learning for me?
I would say I try and cast a wide net, and more for the reason like that, just the way my writing style exists, or just the way I like to approach things. I want to make sure I'm not imitating someone. Like, I think that the best writing, obviously, is going to come from, you know, what can I bring to the table that's unique. I mean, it's funny. You called it a blog and corrected yourself because we had discussed it before. But there is, I mean, definitely an element of that. Like, I am trying to bring, you know, my personal life, or, you know, like things that have happened to me into my writing. I try and, you know, bring anecdotes. I try and, you know, I drop a lot of pop culture references because that's, you know, sort of my humor and who I am. I mean, I guess there's people. I recently read I think his name is Shea Serrano. I read his book, Expensive Basketball, and it's great. Like, I mean, he's someone who has a lot of fun. I like listening to you guys. Like, but I think I'd love, oh God, what are the podcasts I listen to? I really love Sue Bird's podcast. I think she's, I mean, obviously someone who, I mean, it goes without saying, but she's,
that's a pretty good source.
A goat and an expert, who also, seems to be having fun, but also like gets a lot out. But I think I try and follow my instincts. I try and, you know, I go to the websites. I mean, the good thing, the good and bad thing with the WNBA is that I don't feel I am inundated. Like, I can go to, like, if I go to, like, you know, ESPN or CBS Sports, like, you know, you'll get an article or two a week. It's not like the NBA where you're like, you'd be overwhelmed trying to follow most.
That's a great point. Like, you know, the league is still like the number of players is less. There's there and the reason I ask is, like, you know, I've searched around a couple times for, like, you know, even like individual team podcasts, right? And I don't know of any, right? So I think in the way that the WNBA is experiencing such growth, like, I anticipate that there's going to be quite a bit of media growth as well. But just kind of pivoting forward a little bit, you know, I haven't been able to read your most recent column, but it's about Unrivaled. So, you know, I mean, everyone should go read the column, including me. But what would you say to the listeners? Kind of like what inspired this most recent column, and like what are your kind of general thoughts on season 2 of Unrivaled, and where the league's going?
So, I mean, I think what inspired it is, I mean, it was sort of the big thing that was happening that week was that the season was starting, but also it is very tied up in what's happening in the WNBA in a lot of ways, because it's, I mean, like, it sort of started as a very complimentary league. It's founded by Nafisa Collier and Brianna Stewart, or Fee and Stewie if you're at that level of hipness and awareness. And it's so I guess I'll give the basics. So it's a 3-on-3 league, full court 3-on-3, but with a slightly smaller court. They use things. I don't want to get too into the weeds. They have, like, the scoring is a little different. Like, you play to a final score, which is different. They have some innovations where you shoot less free throws. So it's sort of like a fun league, and in a fun way, especially for people who are getting ready for the tempo, or who are just getting into the WNBA generally. If that's your primary focus, Unrivaled is great because it sort of allows you to scout. Like, it's got about, like, I think there's like something like 50 players, which is about a third, and they're all from the WNBA, which is about, like, so it's about a third of the WNBA players are playing in this 3-on-3 league. So it is really a fun chance to learn and catch up.
And generally prominent players as well.
Yes, so, sort of the cream of the crop for the most. I mean, there's a few. I mean, there's a few big names, obviously, who aren't there. Like Caitlin Clark and Asia Wilson.
Totally.
But and it just seemed like something I wanted to talk about, and it was something where I could, like, it was their actual games being played, which is funny because it's like So I started upping the tempo just before the new year, and yeah, so this is like sort of the first women's games that I've really been able to watch since I started. So I was very excited to
Nice. Yeah, is there
make my
anyone?
picks.
Is there anyone that kind of popped off to you?
I mean, I sort of, I'm trying to not get into the Stephen A. Smith, but I'm trying to push myself to get make harder takes. So I ranked the teams. I'm picking the Mist. I'm picking the Mist to finish first, and the Rose second.
Okay.
I have to check a little because I always forget the team names. I don't like the team names always seem a little goofy to me, but
they are goofy team names. I'm definitely. I feel like I'm always surprising Catherine with this, but I'm a bit silly in my like sports names, logo, like jersey style. Like I really like. I mean, I'm a clown. I really like silly, tacky stuff. So, I mean, the Lunar Owls is
Owls is great.
Wow, that's incredible. And then yeah, like I feel like when it comes to when it comes to the names and like the vibe um, of Unrivaled, I was like really. I thought it was going to be good, but I guess I thought it was going to be more like the 3-on-3 league previously existed. And like, if you've seen 3-on-3 basketball in the Olympics, I think to me, the full court element really, really kind of made it look more appealing as like a basketball product than I imagined. Just because to me, the half court, like I enjoy half court basketball, but I don't enjoy watching it that much as a sport. And just even though it's a smaller court, like the end to end nature of the 3-on-3 product to me is like really, really strong. But yeah, what puts you like what put the Mist at the top for you?
So I mean, they got Stewie, so that's great. I think it just seemed like a team that just had like all the elements that I really like. Like it had mobile bigs who can also shoot threes. So I'm just looking at the list. So it's like Alana Smith. Who else is there? Lee Yuru, who's also who I want the Raptors to take in the first in our the Raptors tempo to take first in the expansion draft.
That's interesting, and yeah, that's the type of player. And for anyone who's wondering about, even if you're a listener from Portland, right? If you're wondering about like what players are going to be available, it's going to be that player who like for their W team is like probably a sixth or seventh in the rotation. Like generally teams get to core six for the Valkyries special draft, teams were able to core 6 players. So yeah, and then especially with the kind of contract madness going into this, there will be, I don't want to say slim pickings, but it's going to be the expansion teams, the Portland and Toronto are both going to be working hard to get some players.
It'll sort of, I mean, one thing I'm watching carefully with the CBA, and it is like a nerdy thing, and I'm not, I don't pretend to understand all of it, but there's the core designation, which I think I've heard you guys talked about, which if that survives into the new CBA, it's essentially, I mean, for anyone who watches the NBA, I guess it's the equivalent of like a franchise player designation. If that survives, teams will have to be protecting more of their unrestricted free agents than they would otherwise. This is what I'm thinking. So it might, at first I thought it was going to be really slim pickings. Now the more I think about it, I mean, it might be a bluff because I don't know if we would, like, it would be sort of a jerk move to pick someone and then give them the core thing. Like we said, taking someone who was going to be an unrestricted free agent and essentially forcing them to play for your team. So it's kind of dickish, but at the same time, if players have to protect against that, it might be a better expansion draft than I was initially thinking.
Yeah, if you're one of these expansion teams, these CBA negotiations are really, really going to affect your immediate future. I mean, it's going to be the biggest CBA agreement ever. Whichever way it goes, it's going to be the biggest ever agreement for the WNBA. Just before we go to CBA, I wanted to talk a little bit about Fee and Fee's comments regarding regarding where the W was at. So let's see if I can find the quote here. So this is on an Unrivaled broadcast. She said, "Being on this side with Unrivaled, I know what it takes to run a sustainable business. I think if they can't find a model that makes it happen, they need to put people in place who can, because we've proven that it is possible." So once again, just going for Kathy Engelbert like pretty squarely, and leadership in general. And then she adds, I do think a deal is going to get done, but we're standing firm in what we believe. We're not going to back down. We can't take less. The sport has just grown too much. And for anyone who thinks that this is a bluff, this let me just make sure I see Yahoo. This I'll catch up on just a second on where this article's from, but we get some actual numbers here on what the what Unrivaled is producing. So it's a 12.5 million salary cap. Sorry, I was reading the wrong thing there. It's they produced $27 million in revenue in their first year. So $27 million in revenue in 2025. And it has a $340 million valuation. With new sponsors like Curry and Giannis. So, the average salary is $220,000. So this is Fee really saying, like, I know how that end works. And it's really like there's some flaws in the system if you can't get there. So let's jump to now where we're at on the eve of this like non-agreement. So we found out, we heard from Stewie. It's kind of everywhere now if you do some quick Googling, but it doesn't seem like an extension is going to happen. So we've had a couple extensions, and then also it doesn't seem like an agreement is like right there. And the phrasing is that we're in sort of status quo territory. So Dan, let me ask you, what are you feeling about the CBA? Like, what what have you read that is pushing you? Like, are you feeling positive? Are you feeling pessimistic? Like, what's your sort of current read? Obviously, it's speculation.
Yeah, I mean, I'm feeling anxious as someone who was really excited for the tempo, and especially not to talk too much about the world, but it's like we sort of needed something good to happen, and this was my
sure.
It's like, all right, this is for sure going to happen.
And we can talk about the world. It's okay.
Yeah. But the world is so dark. So the one thing, so in the quotes I'm seeing, like from Stewie and Fee, I think Chelsea Gray had one recently too, where they're all, the one thing that I'm seeing a little more is everybody is sort of intimated that they think a deal will get done eventually, which is something that they hadn't been saying as much before. So that is my small sliver of hope. But the CBA, I mean, I think, like I wrote about it before, I've heard you talk about it before, and we've talked about it before. Like, there's so many, I mean, there's a lot of issues to deal with, but they haven't seemed to make any like, it doesn't seem like there's been any real progress on the central one, which is like, again, a little inside basketball, as it were. But whether it's going to be based on gross revenue or net revenue, whether that's the salary cap, and it seems like I would have assumed at this point that they would have settled on like one or the other. I would have assumed gross revenue, like, because I think that's just, it's the fair one. It makes more sense, and that they would be haggling over the number right now. And I'm a little disappointed. I won't go as far as dismayed, but definitely like aggravated that they aren't at that point in the conversation. That they aren't agreeing on the fundamental. They can't seem to agree on and even what the framework will be. Like,
yeah, that's very well said, because I feel like what we're having is like, it's I think it's confusing by design, and then like it's the type of argument where the W is trying to, the W and the union are both trying to control the terms of the debate.
Mhm.
And I think they're like you said, like you're unable to debate, like have healthy debate unless it's sort of, you can agree on some boundaries. And by the W saying, let us handle all of the money, then with what's left, we'll figure out salaries.
Exactly. Yeah.
That puts the players in the situation where, going back to what Fee said, they can say, but you're not handling the money well. And we don't trust your sense of business. So like, that's an issue. So we need to kind of we need to kind of take a couple steps back and say, we understand the growth here and we understand the level of money coming in. So you can't just say, okay, here's what's left, without
Right.
telling us where that first bit of money went. Like, how is it being spent and what's being done with it? And like the players aren't asking to control that. They're asking for that to be part of the calculation. And it is, yeah, it's like, me and Catherine have said it a bunch, right? But it's sort of a frustrating element to this. I won't go on too long because you're the guest and I'm more interested in your opinion. And I'm sure that the listeners are.
No,
as
you
well.
summed it up well. I mean, you want to, I'm very sympathetic to the players' standpoint. I mean, I know that goes back and forth, but yeah, like, why wouldn't you do the division, like divide the money at the beginning rather than at the end? Like, I mean, you put it exactly right. Like, it's like the W is asking the players to say, okay, well, once we've taken care of everything else, you can have a portion of what's left over, which is also like crazy that it wouldn't just be nearly everything.
Yeah, exactly.
But no, and I think, I mean, Unrivaled is sort of showing a better, unfortunately, is a better model, which is sort of, I don't know if it's a problem, but it's a reality of the WNBA. If the season stays the length which it always has been, 4 months, even if the players are paid exorbitant amounts, they're still going to have to play in other leagues. Like, you can't have an 8th month off season. So these competitions, or these comparisons are always going to come up. You can't. The W can't treat itself like it's in a vacuum and that it is the only show in town. And that's, I mean, whether Fee got misquoted, or misquoted Kathy Ungerberg when she talked about it, like, the W does seem to be approaching things with a, you should be grateful that we're giving you this platform attitude. And that's not the reality we're living in. I mean, these players are stars. The growth is because they're stars and because they're the product. And I want the W to get on board and acknowledge that.
Yeah, it certainly doesn't like reflect the history of the W. Mm-hmm. And I think, with what you were saying with Unrivaled, just made me feel like there's, something I haven't said before, but a feeling that I feel like I'm kind of able to put to words here. But I wonder if, because of the exponential growth, like because of like how fast and how big the growth has been, I wonder if we're in this weird space where the profitability for women's sports and women's basketball is more possible than it ever has been. Yet the W is sort of holding on to this like existing history of like when times were harder. And, whether that's like debt they've incurred, money they've lost, whatever it is, there's sort of like, it's put them in this position where they're not able to meet the moment, right? There's almost like a delusional tone coming from the league. That's like, you should be happy to be here. We're the only game in town. And none of those things are true, right? The league should be happy to have them. And they're not the only game in town. And the players, again, like what even the request of 30% revenue, like it just doesn't even compare to other male leagues, right? So Yeah, I going back to a point you said a while ago. Well, actually, let me just stop there. Does that do anything for you? Kind of like the newness of this of the space we're in. Like, does that? Am I onto something?
I think you are. Yeah, like they don't. Yeah, they definitely seem to be reading from an old playbook again because they don't. Yeah, I mean, I think we both said it at this point, but yeah, like they don't seem to be meeting the players half. Like, I mean, I get that it's a negotiation, and it always drives me crazy because I feel like both sides are saying things that they know that they won't get.
Mm-hmm.
And then at some point, knowing that eventually you're going to compromise and you're both going to be a little unhappy. But yeah, I mean, but the players have shown. I mean, Unrivaled is I mean, it was founded by players. It's they know that they can do it, and I mean, it's a little bit of a different beast. We didn't really talk on it before, but the way it's structured, they're all living in Miami. They're making one road trip this season to Philadelphia. I mean, it operates differently. They have, the W would have more considerations and logistics and more players. I mean, there are differences, but I mean, I feel, like I said, like there is this model, there's the successful business, and like, I mean, we know what the expansion teams pay to get in and what they're continuing to pay in. I mean, there's
exactly,
the league is growing, it has value. So for the WNBA to be pretending that it doesn't have this value, it's just frustrating at this point.
Yeah, it's not helpful. And I brought up this point before, but it is bargaining, and I do think when they get a deal, people are just going to want basketball so bad again that a lot of this will settle. So I think, if you're on the ownership side and you're like, oh man, we're kind of losing steam and people are pissed at us or whatever it is, they're like, yeah, but they won't be pissed as soon as the games start. So I think, like, in that sense, like, that's sort of why, like, a lot of heels are dug in. But I'll just end on this, and which is what you brought up here as well. But there's been so little talk about compromise, and we finally have some talk about compromise and a deal getting done from multiple players, like in this ESPN article. So that to me is something. But by the way, it's by Kendra Andrews, and it's titled "Brianna Stewart says no extension in WNBA labor talks." So definitely give that a read. I think it is time for the FFQ, which feels weird for me to say since it's the Friday's Fun question. But my FFQ to you is, we're both, WNBA converts. And how would you sell the W to basketball fans that don't yet follow the league?
Okay.
So what's the Dan sell? Like, you're already a fan, you're into it. You're hanging out with some people and they're like, you can tell they're on the fence, and you're like, all right, I got to make a move here. I got to make a move.
Okay. Well, I've got my serious pitch, I guess, would be mostly that it is the style of play that we talked about. Like, it's under the rim, which I, for the most part, which I love. And the floors doesn't seem as crowded because the players are a little bit smaller. Like, it really does feel like there's more movement. But I guess I would also, knowing my circle of friends and who might be asking me, and again, coming back to the troubled times we're living in, I think WNBA games are where the resistance is going to happen.
Ooh, I like that.
Andor style. Like, it's just going to be, it's strong, mostly Black women, go traveling zipping across America. And now, knock on wood, making stops in Canada, possibly for supply runs. The crowds are going to be cool. It's going to be, no one's going to infiltrate it. It's just going to be, it's going to be the closest thing we have to a safe space to make the revolution happen.
This is why we do the FFQ, because there's I'm feeling like there's like a Handmaid's Tale version of the W that is your sell. Come on. Like, I mean, like, I again, like, this is always going to be a easy FFQ for me to be sold on, because I'm obviously a W fan. But I think my my main sell to basketball fans that like don't yet watch the W would be that like we're seeing a lot of trends start in the WNBA. And my listeners know that like Catherine is the fashion person, but like it's fashion, culture, on court basketball trends. Like they're some of the most high IQ basketball is happening in the W. Whether it's like face up basketball, or just like zones. Like I really think that a lot of like if you're a basketball like nerd as far as like the way the game is played, like that's there for you. And then also from like a fan perspective, we're still at this sweet spot where the average person is not like fully priced out. And I think because of the growth of the sport that we're seeing, that is not always going to be the case. And yeah, I know a lot of people who I'm a season seat holder of the Tempo, and have been of the Raptors for a long time. And most people I know that you can't really be a season seat holder of the Raptors unless you got in a long time ago. And you can be a season seat holder of the W, of the Tempo. And I mean, I'm sure there are some franchises like the Liberty or the Aces, or who knows, maybe the Fever now, whatever, where that's becoming like, man, I can't be like, there's no more room, some more season seat holders. But I think for a lot of like existing teams and definitely the new teams, there's room to get in there. I mean, sorry, Valkyrie, I'm sure is probably very difficult to become a season seat holder because it's just like massive immediate popularity. But yeah, like it's time. It's just I think that would be my sell. It's like it's just like it's of the time. Like get in there while, like get in there now to say you were there.
And it's the right. It's funny. I just to double down on what you were saying. Yeah, like it's also the right size for me in so many ways. Like in addition to the players being closer to my size, like it's a. Yeah, I also got season tickets for the Tempo. It's a reasonable number of games. Like it's like for some reason, like the NBA season for me, I don't want to say it drags. Like I love the game, but it's like it's a long season. Like yeah, like WNBA, you have like a shorter season. There's fewer teams, so I feel I can keep track of everybody better. Like it's just yeah, it's a nice size. It's growing. It's fun.
Yeah. I always do this. I always say that I'm going to shout out the writer. And I think I got confused when I was talking about the Nafisa Collier Unrivaled take, because I didn't recognize this outlet, but it's profootballnetwork.com. The article is called Nafisa Collier Takes a Dig at WNBA Commissioner Kathy Engelbert amid CBA drama. And the writer is Mohammed Faisal. So make sure you check that out as well. And I didn't do a social media shout out prior to, so let me do it now, baby. Let me do a real earnest one. Please subscribe to our YouTube. It's the Pickup WNBA podcast. Follow us on Instagram. Obviously, reviews and commenting and all that stuff brings us traction, helps us with our old friend the algorithm, and is really, really appreciated. So thank you so much. And for everyone who does that already, shout out to you. We appreciate you. And I'll also say, if you leave a review, that's big for us. So thank you very much. And Dan, yeah, like we'll be hearing from you again for sure. But thank you so much for joining the podcast. Can I get you to please just give our audience here one last plug of what you're up to?
Ooh, yes, I will. So I write, like I said, a weekly column or blog, as some people might call it, which can be found at uppingthetempo.ca. Upping the Tempo, no hyphens or anything. I'll just straight up .ca articles come out so far every Saturday. So
every Saturday.
check it out.
Get your Saturday Upping the Tempo news, which also is league news too. Well, yeah, Dan, thank you so much again, and we will be back. We will be back next week. Next week, we're actually going to be recording on a Tuesday, but we will have our regular release times on Thursday or Thursday the 15th for the pickup, and Friday the 16th for the tempo. So again, thank you so much, everyone. Happy New Year, by the way, Dan.
And you as well. Yes.
It's a crazy world we're living in, but Happy New Year. You know what I mean? Okay. See you later, Dan, and see you later, everybody. Peace.